Hey guys, it's Blake with Dominion Strength Training. Today I'm going to talk about leather weightlifting belt materials and what you need to know to make an educated decision when you go to buy a belt. So there's two main types of leather that belts are made out of and that we're going to talk about. And the first one, I've got a belt here that I've cut into so I can show you. See this material here? It's brown, it's smooth, it looks like leather, like what you would expect. This is something called top grain leather. This, if you want a quality belt, this is what you want to get. It's the strongest, it's the stiffest, it doesn't wear out over time, and it's also the most expensive, but if you're looking for quality, top grain leather is what you want to get. The second type is something called split grain leather, and I've got another belt here that I've cut into, and you can look at this. See, it's white and fibrous. That's split grain leather, okay? The way I think about this is the difference between top grain leather and split grain leather is kind of the difference between plywood and particle board. Yeah, they're both wood, but that's about where the similarities end. The biggest thing with split leather is it can stretch. The one thing a belt is not supposed to do is stretch. You go to lift, you take your breath, you would expand out, except that your belt prevents it. The top grain leather won't stretch, the split leather will, and that's the biggest issue. So the other issues with split leather are that it wears out over time. You think about all these little fibers in the leather. Every time that belt is stretched and worked, those fibers come apart a little bit more. So the stitching, the hardware, the holes that the prong is going to go into, these are going to slowly turn into ovals instead of being round holes. And that's the other issue with split grain leather. It wears out. The way I say it is the top grain leather wears in, split leather wears out. So why do they use it if it's not as good a material as the top grain leather? It's cheap. That's why they use it, and that's the only reason they use it. So when you're looking for a belt, you definitely want to make sure that you're getting top grain leather if you want a quality belt that's going to last you a long time. So the question is, when you're looking at a belt, how do you know what type of leather it's made of? If it's made of top grain leather, first of all, and they've spent the extra money to use the higher quality leather, they're probably going to tell you it's going to be advertised as a top grain leather belt. Whereas if you see words like genuine leather, all leather, full leather, things like that, that's probably going to be a split leather belt. There are a couple places on the belt that you can look. So remember we said that the top grain leather is brown in color and the split grain leather is white. So you can look in the holes of this belt here. This is a top grain leather belt, and you've got the brown leather in there. You can also look around the buckle. You can see up here under the belt loop, that's brown leather, and also inside the buckle area itself, you can see that there's brown leather there. This is covered with a layer of suede, but usually around the buckle, they'll take that inner layer off, so you can actually look in here and see what kind of leather you have. On the split leather belt, it's kind of funny. On this one, they actually tried to trick you, and they went in and they dyed the holes brown. But you can see that they didn't quite do a perfect job because you can pick up that white in there. So you may have to look closely, but don't let people fool you into thinking that the belt is something that it's not. So now that you know the difference between the two types of leathers, you might say, well, this is my first belt, or I'm kind of on a budget, and I get that the split leather is not quite as good, but is it good enough? Is it a good enough belt for what I need? I would say no, and here's why. Remember when I said the only reason that they would use split leather is because it's cheaper? They're not just going to go cheaper on the leather. There's going to be other things as well. And I can show you, like on this belt, the hardware, I call these like little button rivets, and you can see there's this one right here that I was able to take a screwdriver and just pop it open on the front and back very easily. The buckle itself, most all of them have seamless rollers, but you want to get stainless steel hardware because you don't want this to rust. And the way you can check, I've got a little magnet here. Carbon steel, even if it's plated to look like stainless like this, it's going to be highly magnetic. So you see how that sticks on all these different components. This sticks. Okay, now this is plated, so it's plated to not rust, but that only works as long as you don't scratch through the plating. This is a weightlifting belt, you're going to scratch through the plating. So you want to get stainless steel. I've got one here. I'll show you right quick. This is stainless steel hardware, and you can check with the magnet. You can see it does not stick to any of these components. That's why I would not go with the split leather belt, is because it's not just the leather, it's all the components are going to be cheaper. It is going to be less expensive, but overall, all the components of the belt are going to be lower quality. So I hope this video has been helpful. Hopefully you feel like you know what to look for now when you're out shopping for a belt. If you'd like to check out our belt, Dominion Strength Training, this is one of the belts that I've been showing you in this video. It's got all the desirable qualities that we talked about. It's got the top grain leather, the stainless steel hardware, the heavy duty rivets. Check it out. It's available on Amazon. I'll put a link at the bottom of the video so you can go check that out. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.